We have some very dynamic men and women, especially some very dynamic women who have become agents as single moms. They're heading up offices. They're going foreign with their kids, giving them the best opportunities.
Brothers and sisters, brothers and sisters, I don't know what this world is coming to.
You're listening to the Black and Blue Podcast, a discussion and celebration of the roles of African Americans and other minorities in U.S. law enforcement. Your host on the Black and Blue Podcast is Dale Peters, a law enforcement professional with over 20 years experience in the business. Hop on board this Black and Blue train of interviews, current events, and pop culture conversations. So get ready. The Black and Blue Podcast is coming at you right now. What's going on, Black and Blue fam? Welcome once again to the Black and Blue Podcast, where we celebrate diversity in U.S. law enforcement. My name is Dale, and I'm the host. Thank you for showing up and showing out. I really do appreciate the love and support. Let's keep that love train going by clicking those like, subscribe, and bell icons right down here on my YouTube channel. Or rate the Black and Blue Podcast 5 stars on your favorite podcast platform. Also, make sure you check me out on any one of my social media pages for even more content. You can find me everywhere at Black and Blue US. All right, y'all. So my guest today is an executive with the agency that heads up our country's drug war. Black and Blue fam helped me give an emphatic and enthusiastic welcome to DEA Special Agent Rogeana Patterson-King. How you doing?
I am great. How are you?
I'm excellent. Good morning to you. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. Well, morning for me out here in California. What time is it out
It's
there?
still morning.
Yeah, oh, it's still okay. Great.
Well,
Great.
it's noon. It's noon
Yeah,
here in Kansas.
right. All right. All right. Well, thank you for coming on to the show. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So like I said there in the monologue there, you are a special agent with I only said the agency that heads up our country's war on drugs. I don't know if that term is still appropriate today, but tell everybody a little bit about where you work and what you do there.
Okay. Well, I am the Assistant Special Agent in charge for the Drug Enforcement Administration. I'm responsible for the entire drug enforcement operations in the state of Kansas. I am the first African American female or male to hold the role, or I should say minority to hold the position. I've been here since May of 2020, and it's been an awesome experience. I have 23 years with the Drug Enforcement Administration, so I'm looking at retirement here shortly, which I'm excited about.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
so
yes. Loved it.
It's been an awesome ride.
Did you start with the DEA as in your career in law enforcement?
Well, I was a Dallas police officer. I'm originally from Dallas, Texas.
Oh.
And I was a Dallas police officer prior to coming to DEA. I joined DEA in 1999. And my first assignment was in Los Angeles, California, where I was there as a special agent for a little under 6 years before I got the opportunity to go foreign. And I was stationed in Bridgetown, Barbados, out in the Eastern Caribbean when I was there for 5 years. And then I got the opportunity to be promoted to a group supervisor. And I went to San Juan, Puerto Rico, and I was there for 7 years. I did supervisory role there, running enforcement groups. I had our airport group, I had our HIDA group, and our special support unit group. And then I did my headquarters assignment there, having the first position there from our special operations division as a staff coordinator. Basically, I was responsible for coordinating international operations connected to Puerto Rico around the world. So that was my headquarters. And
That's
then
awesome.
I had another opportunity to get promoted again. And I thought I was going to avoid our headquarters, which is in Arlington, Virginia, and stay in Puerto Rico and never have to leave. But the opportunity came for me to get promoted to an assistant special agent in charge. And so I went to our headquarters and I was the deputy section chief for our operations, global operations, covering our Mexico section. And then I was promoted, or I should say promoted, but became a lateral, but a higher position, because then I had another 15 under me as the section chief for our Latin and Caribbean section. And then I became our executive assistant for the deputy administrator for operations management, which was responsible for all of the budget for DEA, our CS programs, our database systems. Everything is under operations management. So I was executive assistant for there before coming to DEA. So I spent 3 years at headquarters, and now I'm in Virginia. In Kansas, where I'm almost at 3 years here. So.
All right. So sound like you've been almost all over the world, and lots of traveling, there with and that's one of the hallmarks of federal service, is that if you do want to move up, you do have to move around, right?
That is correct. One of the things, if you want to upward mobility, you have to be willing to move about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And actually, when you become an agent, you sign what's called a mobility agreement, where you basically have the possibility of being sent anywhere DEA needs you for the good of the agency.
yep.
But they don't do that so much. It's really based on promotion, if you want to promote.
Right.
And apply for
I
different
kind of took
positions.
a different route than you did. I started off with federal service, and went backwards into local law enforcement,
Okay.
because of that, a lot of that travel. Worked with an agency. I'm sure you've worked with a lot, IRSCI.
Ah, yes. Correct.
Yeah.
I
So I
have.
did that for about 5 years out here in LA, and starting to see that people are having to move around if they want to do something, and the family didn't really want to move around, and that's probably a big stressor in a lot of families. How did your family take that?
Well, I'm the middle child of three girls, and I've always kind of been very independent. So once I graduated from high school and went off to college, I kind of never turned back. um, so my family was like, go for it, go for it, go for it. So my family's been very supportive in me having to move about, because one thing about me moving, they get to go wherever I've traveled. So like they were able to come to Barbados, and they came to LA and to Puerto Rico. So they've enjoyed every tour I've had.
Yeah. What is the family life for you? I know you mentioned a husband earlier.
Yes, well, I have a souvenir from Barbados, because my husband is actually from Barbados.
All
When I went there,
right.
I was single, and my girlfriends, they were like, "Oh, you're gonna be like Stella. You're gonna go to Barbados, and you're gonna find your husband." I was like, "Nope, I'm going to work, and I'm gonna do my cases, and I'm gonna come out promoted." That was my goal, to go there, get the experience, and come out promoted. I was not looking for a husband. I actually thought I would never get married because of my career, and sometimes men been a little intimidated by that. But yeah, I went to Barbados and met my husband at church, actually. So
Okay, congratulations.
yeah, so we've been married for 14 years.
All right. And so he's what do they call native people from Barbados? Barbadian? What are they called?
Barbadian or Bajan. They call themselves Bajan, but Barbadian is the official term. Yes.
All right. And he's had the opportunity to go to other places with you as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's enjoyed a lot of the travel. Yeah, because we went from Barbados, because we were only married a year when we went to Puerto Rico. So we spent the 7 years in Puerto Rico together, and it was just us, ride or die. you know.
There you go.
So we don't have any kids. We have three in heaven, but God it didn't see fit for us to have kids, but it's okay, because like I say, it's afforded me to, when we need to go, we get up and go. Um, so it's good.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, as a DEA agent, you can go around the world. What is the role of a DEA agent in a foreign country? A lot of people don't know really that, or maybe they do know. If you don't, there's a little education here. Puerto Rico is
Okay.
part of the United States, so you do have
Yeah.
jurisdiction there. But when you're in Barbados or anywhere else, how does that work?
Yes, well, when we're in foreign countries, we're more in a liaison role. So basically, we are responsible for assisting the host country with working investigations. We're basically the conduit to connect that foreign to the domestic investigations, but we are strictly there. We don't have arrest authority, and anything that we do in that country enforcement wise, we have to have the permission of the ambassador or the chief of missions there to be able to do like enforcement action. But basically, it's just working alongside with the law enforcement counterparts in those countries to help them in doing their investigations and, like I say, connecting them to our U.S. investigations and bringing those individuals that are involved in drug trafficking from the distribution, manufacturing, transportation, or facilitation arm of it to justice. And that can be justice in the U.S. or in that foreign country if they have the capabilities and the laws to do so. Because we're basically just there to kind of help them um, maintain control of their country. Because sometimes in these smaller countries, drug traffickers will come in and offer some things, and them not necessarily being aware of who the person is that's offering you this service or this resource for your country is a drug trafficker. So we kind of educate them to those things. There's a lot of money laundering stuff that we look at into on the foreign arenas. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool though. It's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. One of my buddies that's still at the IRS. He's
Mhm,
been to a lot of countries and he did a stint in Mexico City.
mhm,
And the
mhm,
stories he tells me about that is just crazy. He's pretty high up there. I think he's an ASAC or assistant special agent in charge out in Florida
mhm,
now. So we'll
mhm,
talk off air about him. Maybe you may know him or not. But yeah, it's just pretty wild, especially in those countries like Mexico and South America, Central
mhm.
America, where it's so prevalent.
Correct.
Not to say that
Mhm.
it doesn't happen in Europe and in Asia as well.
Yeah, it's all over. It's all over.
Yeah.
That's why well, a lot of people don't know that DEA actually has the biggest federal footprint in the foreign arenas. Our footprint is actually bigger than the CIA in foreign arenas. So
Yeah.
yeah,
How large
we're
is
out there
DEA?
making a difference. Well, we have the last time I was doing a presentation, I think we had like over 10,000 employees, and that includes from our agents to diversion investigators, intelligence research specialists, our chemists, and then I say the foundation of our organization, which is our PADCO, which is our administrative staff people. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, it's an interesting career. I give props to anyone who does 20 plus in that arena. I've worked task forces, DEA task forces out here
Mhm.
on the local level, and I did my 3 to 5 years, and then I went out and moved on. But to be able to do that for 20 plus years, that's got to be pretty stressful, right?
Yeah, it's interesting that you said you work for IRS because my first assignment in LA, I partnered up with an IRS agent. He was in my group because I was in a task force group, and he was in my group, and we worked some very good cases together. We actually did a case targeting Pakistani heroin traffickers, and they were
Wow,
dealing in like hawalas and stuff. So yeah, it was a very good case.
dealing in
We did some good stuff
koalas?
together.
What?
Hawalas.
What is that?
Hawalas is like a money laundering system that a lot of the Western countries, or I say Pakistani countries, use, where they have like books. There's no actually like no money that's moved. But say if you're in LA and you want to pay someone that's in Pakistan, they'll go to their hawala and say, we have $10,000 that's for Dale here, and they put it on their books and give it to you over there. So it's like an exchange system, but no money actually moves. They just keep it on the books, and it's their form of moving money, shall I say?
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Real interesting cases there.
Yeah.
But you also have the typical street level stuff that's going on as well. What's one of the big ones that's out there now? And I know these answers are just for the viewers. What's a big one that you guys are combating now?
Yeah, well, right now, especially in all over the U.S., we have the fake pills that are out there that are laced with fentanyl. That is that is a scary drug, the
Yeah.
fentanyl, because we're seeing it in basically mixed in everything. We've seen it in mixed with meth. We've seen it with cocaine, with heroin. We've even had some samplings of it in marijuana, not necessarily because they're lacing the marijuana, but because most of these drug traffickers are polydrug distributors. And so they may lay out on the table there to process their meth and combining that with fentanyl, and that residue is still there. Then they lay out the marijuana and package that,
Oh,
and so it's getting all contaminated. And for the fentanyl, it's so bad because only 2 milligrams of fentanyl can kill you, which that's
yes.
enough to fit like on a tip of a pencil. And when you think about the days of experimenting with drugs, those days are pretty much gone, because the one time that you decide to experiment with even the fake pills that you think, like high school, college students and some kids, students have for a legitimate like Adderall, and they are going to try their friends' Adderall, those could be fake, and that could be the one time that you lose your life, just trying to experiment. So those days are
Yeah.
over, and the drug traffickers are specifically targeting our young people. Right now, nowadays, if a kid has a smartphone, they have direct access to a drug trafficker, because they're soliciting them. They're making the pills to look like candy, and it's more
Yeah.
attractive, and the things that they're doing, even with the emojis that they use specifically to targeting kids on like Chapstat and Twitter and things of that nature. But right now, those fake pills are really, really dangerous,
Right.
because it's not as much stigma with the pills as it is with like a cocaine or heroin or a meth.
Yeah,
But
that's what I
it's
was going to
it's,
ask you. What's
it's more
what's
deadly.
the yeah, what's the allure to fentanyl? Is it what kind of high, first of all, do they get, and is it like cheaper to make, or what's the allure to it?
All of that. The high is extreme. It's extremely addictive. Just to give you context, fentanyl is used in a hospital setting for major surgery as a painkiller or anesthetic. It's used for cancer patients as like a end of life medicine, just to give them comfort. So it's a medicine that removes pain in your body, but in those settings, they're used in microgram amounts. So when you're talking about now, these drug traffickers are saying we're going to make these fake pills, or we're going to put it in our meth or in our cocaine. There's no regulation of it. It's like making a batch of cookies, for example. If you have your batch of cookies, and you have your dough already, and you put your chocolate chips in there, and you stir it up. You put your cookies in the oven, and you take them out, and then you get one, and it has like only 3 chocolate chips in it. You're like, oh man. Or you get one that has a whole bunch. That's kind of the same
Mm,
thing with
mm,
these drug traffickers and stuff, and it only takes a little amount. So the profit margin for them to use fentanyl in their drugs, and these illicit drugs, is very profitable. I mean, very profitable, and they don't really care who it's killing. Because one thing about individuals that are addicted to drugs, it is a, how do I say? I feel like it's a I've lost my words. Like it's a it's a medical issue, because they are
yes,
addicted, and it's
yes.
hard to get off of it, right? And so they're continuously trying to chase their first high, and it's never you're never going to get the feeling you felt the first time you tried a particular drug. You will never get that, but they're chasing that, and so it's weird, but because they're under this addiction, that when they're like craving these drugs, they're basically, their body is telling them, we don't care about that it could kill us. We just need to get high. We just need to bring down whatever discomfort my body's experiencing now from the withdrawals, to be able to get the next fix.
Right.
So it's crazy, and we find that when we have a situation where people are overdosing on a particular thing, those who are addicted will go towards that, because they know that high is it's a super high, because if it could take you to almost death or to death, that's the one they want.
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is crazy, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Just
it's
the human mind, the
it's
human mind
scary.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
And that's something we see at least out here. I don't know. Is it such an epidemic out in Kansas and in middle America as it is out here on the coast, like in LA and in New York?
It has hit us seriously. Last year, I want to say, I think the count, we had just over 600 deaths last year, overdose deaths from fentanyl related opioids, basically. So
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
it's
Yeah.
everywhere. There's no state in the U.S. that's immune to it.
No, no, not at all, not
None.
at all. And in my agency, we deal with it. I don't know, ODs, 5 times a day.
Hmm.
And we
Yeah.
all carry the medicine to help them,
The
break out of
Narcan.
it. And yep, the Narcan, and
Hmm.
now they're putting it in schools.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
so
they
it's
are. And Narcan is very good and it does save lives, but I also want to make sure people that understand that Narcan is not an end all be all. Because
no,
sometimes we've talked to paramedics who said they had to administer like 6 Narcans to an individual to bring them back, and some they bring back, and some they can't. So you
yes,
just,
yeah, yeah,
I say the best solution for it is just don't do it. And I know that's
right,
easier said than done. For a person that's never tried it, heed the warning. For a person that's addicted now, is just trying to find some place to get help,
yes,
be able to get off of it, because you could potentially lose your life at this point.
absolutely. So how does DEA approach things like fentanyl and a few years ago the opioid epidemic that
Mhm.
we had?
Mhm.
What is you guys' role, on a local level? How do you guys approach that?
Cracking down, working with our counterparts right now in the state of Kansas specifically, which Kansas is one of 11 different divisions that were selected to be a part of our Op Engage, which is where we are going out into the community and actively partnering with the community to get the word out for education and prevention, working with prevention organizations, substance abuse, our mental health professionals, our local law enforcement, and other nonprofit organizations and leaders in the community to say, how can we come around you? Because we can't arrest our way out of this
No,
situation. It's
nope,
about educating the public and let them know the dangers, and giving the resources to the community to also empower their community to rid their community of it, you know.
yeah,
So that's what we're doing. And we've been doing town hall meetings and going into schools and having different types of events here to get the word out. So basically, we've been doing a call to action to have the conversation, for
yeah,
parents to have a conversation, because the person that's saying not my child,
yes,
that'll be the person.
that'll be
So
the
you
person. Yep,
never say not my child, because you don't know what's going on. And
yeah,
like I say, because it's so accessible through these apps on the phone and stuff, that
right,
literally you can have that stuff delivered to your front door.
yeah.
So you have to be
Unfortunately,
vigilant. Hmm.
yep, yep,
Correct.
Nate. Yep. Parents have to be vigilant and get that information through all those
Mhm.
conduits that you just mentioned. So yeah, they got to stay on
Correct.
top of it. And that's one of the things that even in school you can get. So you
Yep.
gotta stay on top of that. Yep.
Correct.
So
Correct.
you mentioned earlier that you were one of the first minorities in your post as an assistant special
Hmm.
agent in charge, or ASAC. Um,
Hmm.
what's the minority makeup of DEA, and is there like a push for more agents of color?
Correct. There are. Um, our I think we're still less than 10% right now, as far as in the agent pool. For females, it's even less. But we are specifically targeting and wanting to see more minorities enter the field. And I do a lot of recruiting, and specifically for like minority women. And I know most of the women that I come in contact with, I ask them, "Do you have a degree?" Yes. Okay, you're a local police officer. Yes. So have you thought about going federal? And a lot of them don't want that move. Like you said, you went from federal back to local because you didn't want that move. But I would just challenge them, because we have some very dynamic men and women, especially some very dynamic women who have become agents as single moms. They're heading up offices. They're, going foreign with their kids, giving them
Yes.
the best opportunities. Because that's one thing I
Yes.
didn't mention. When you go foreign, your kids go to diplomatic schools. These are schools that colleges want your student because, oh, your child was a diplomat. Yes, we want them at our school.
Wow. Yeah.
So they get the best education, and everything is paid for when you go foreign. You don't have to pay for anything other than your stuff to have fun. Your
Right.
housing's paid for, your utilities are paid for, everything's paid for, and your kids get schooling paid for. So, but I try to encourage um, people of minorities to come into DEA, not just because we need them, but we want to have a a diversity at the table, shall I say?
Yes.
If we're not at the table, we don't have a say. So my thing is always get in the room. If you're complaining about something, even at a local police department, if I tell you if you're complaining about your local police department, well then you go and join that local police department to be the
That's
difference,
that part
and to
right there.
regulate and to see what's going on, and call people on the carpet when they're doing stuff out of line, you
That
know.
part.
But if
Yep.
we're not there, if we're not in the room, if we're not at the table, then we don't have a say.
Yes.
So I say I don't regret anything about joining DEA. I really don't. And it's not, it hasn't been without some struggles and running across some people that probably shouldn't be part of DEA. But for me, I've always said I'm never gonna back down from it. I always call it and see it as it is, you know, and put people on notice that I see. So I need you to do better, right?
To do better. Do
Um,
better. Yep.
do
Yep.
better, exactly.
So
Give everyone a level playing field.
exactly. So what's the path or the way to become a DEA agent? What's the training? What's the process like to become an agent?
Well, one good thing about DEA is they will train you to be an agent. So you really don't have to have like a degree in criminal justice or a law enforcement background because they will basically train you. But you have to be at least 21. Me personally think 21 is a little too young to join DEA because of the things that we see and the things that you come in contact with. I believe you also have to have character. And at 21, I don't know if you've developed enough character yet. That's why I
Now,
always
now to say
recommend
and
that people go to.
yeah, excuse me real quick, but and the same in police work as well. Minimum age is
Mhm,
usually 21, but how many do you actually
mhm.
see getting hired at 21 because of the life experience they don't have at that age?
Well, we do have some. We do have some that come in, right. I like a friend of mine. She came in. They recruited her right out of college, to come into DEA. So she came in at 21. One of
Wow.
my classmates turned 21 at the academy. So,
Nice. Yeah, yeah,
well, yeah. So it does happen, but usually when the people come in like that, they have some skill sets that DEA desires. They have like some language skills or just something special that DEA is looking for. So it kind of gives them a bump up. And if you're military gets a bump up for the veterans preference. So yeah, it's
yeah,
but basically you apply. You can go to DEA.gov, go to careers, and I think it'll kick you over to USA Jobs, and then you'll fill out the application, and or you can call it. The best way actually is to reach out to your local DEA office and talk to the recruiter who can actually walk you through the process of doing the online stuff,
yeah.
and make sure they tracking for you in the system, because sometimes when you're just dealing with the online, people get lost.
Yes.
um, but yeah, but then you go through, it usually takes about a year for the process because they do the background, the PT, the polygraph, the psychological. Um, you do I know I'm missing some stuff. Psychological background, polygraph,
Medical, medical
the medical, yes, medical. Um, I think that's it. The
interviews, of
longest part
course.
is
Interviews, of course.
the interview, the panel interviews and stuff like that. But the thing that hurts a lot of people, oh, and firearms, that you will have to go through for to become an agent. But the the thing that hurts people in the application process is the PT, because you have to pass the PT. That's the only test you get in DEA. They give you the answers. They tell you what to do, how to do it, and so
Yeah.
you can make your you can give your own score because they give you the answers. But once you get to the academy stuff, it's just they will literally teach you everything you need to know. Defensive tactics. If you've never shot a gun before, that's perfect because they'll teach you how to shoot. From everything from the laws that we enforce, which is the Title 21 USC laws, everything. Because we had people in my class that were bankers, teachers. One girl was a aerobics instructor as her job before coming
So
to DEA.
so she was great on the PT portion, right?
Yeah, she was
Yeah.
doing the PT portion.
Yeah.
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 So, but
Now,
they'll teach you everything you need to know. And one thing that I love about DEA, and we're one of the only agents because we have single mission focus, which is to enforce the controlled substance laws of the United States. We do our investigations from start to finish, and every agent is taught the same thing. So that means when you get your first target information and you work that case up, you work it all the way up to you see that person prosecuted and you go before a judge, and your United States attorney who's sitting alongside of you, who's prosecuting your case, you get to sit at the table with them, you know. So that's what I love. It's not compartmentalized like some of the other agencies where you may be sitting on surveillance on somebody else's case and like, why am I doing this? For with DEA, you know, step by step what this case is about and why you're doing it, and you can take your cases from beginning to end, and that's
now,
been great because you.
now is that because you have specialized surveillance groups that do the surveillance for you, or because
No,
you got
we
to get
do
out there
everything.
and okay,
We do everything. When
right?
I was saying other agencies, for example, like the FBI, I mean, you may be on a surveillance team and that's all you do is surveillance, but
Oh,
you don't
okay,
know
yeah,
why
yeah,
you're
yeah.
sitting on there. You're just
Right,
sitting out
right,
there
right.
on somebody else's deal. But for us, when you're in your group goes out and say, okay, today we're going to work on Regina's investigation. We're going to go out and do surveillance over here. Or today we're going to work on Joe's investigation and we're going to go and do an arrest. So your
Yeah,
group supports you in your investigations, but you see it from beginning to end, and you know what your group's doing. Because in DEA, you never do anything by yourself. If you're doing something
right.
by yourself, you're wrong. Because
Yeah,
you always want accountability. So you're always partnered up, and yeah, and it's a family. It really is. It
yeah,
really
yeah.
is.
So, in today's day and age, where recruiting law enforcement has been a challenge, maybe not as much on the federal level, but still there's some challenges there. How do you guys, the DEA, stand out as opposed to, I mean, you'll always have those people that, shoot out apps everywhere, IRS, Secret Service, FBI, and then the first one that calls is the one that they go to. But how do you
Mm-hmm.
guys cater to people that actually want to be DEA agents and set you guys apart from those other agencies?
Well, our main thing, because like I say, our process is about a year to get hired, and based on if you've lived in multiple places or not. But our thing is we pride ourselves in actually trying to stay in contact with the individual to keep them in the know as far as what you're doing, where you are in the process, so you don't feel like I'm just waiting, but I haven't heard from them. No, we try to make sure that you're in constant contact with your recruiter and knowing where you are in the process, and you have the ability to also reach out to your recruiter and say, hey, where am I, if you don't hear from your recruiter. But really it's hard because it's exactly what you say. People, whoever calls first, they'll jump on. But I say to be a DEA agent, you really have to have a passion for it. And I think that's what sets it apart. You either love our mission or you don't, because like I say, we have one mission, and that is to disrupt, destroy, dismantle drug trafficking organizations and to protect our borders. So
Yes.
that's for me. I joined DEA because my father became addicted to crack cocaine and his siblings, and I saw my middle class neighborhood growing up completely demolished when crack hit, and I said, I want to put drug traffickers in jail. I want to protect my community, and so that's why I went to
Yeah.
DEA. I wanted to make that
Wow.
difference.
Wow. Yep. And that's the personal side of it as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Not
yeah.
not a lot of agencies can have that personal side of mission. Maybe FBI, certainly not IRS unless I don't know. We won't get into that. This isn't a political show. All right. So,
well, I'll tell you when I didn't tell people what I did for a living, because I was, doing undercover and things of that nature. I would always tell people if they asked me what I did for a living, I would say I was an IRS agent, and no one would ever
oh
ask me any
no.
other questions.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
I work for IRS. They were like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not
You
to
know,
badmouth IRS, it's just that
no,
nobody
no.
wanted, they didn't have any questions.
When I went to the academy, we yeah, obviously they go to a different academy than you guys did. You guys go through FBI's, or you have your own now, or?
We have our own. We're at Quantico, but we have our own facility.
Yeah. Okay.
We're in Quantico,
So
Virginia.
we went through FLETC, the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center in Georgia, and what they do is at the first half of that training, they pair you up with other agencies, and just half of my other half of that class in my class was ATF. So you got IRS and ATF. I mean, just those three, those 2 3-letter agencies is enough to cause enough political firestorm right there. We would always joke about that. Those are words that you don't want to hear coming to your house: IRS agent or FTF agent.
I said there's 2 things I don't play with: the IRS and God.
Yeah, true that. True that. True that. True that. Yeah. Yeah. So you did say there's a lot of things that you can do at DEA. Why don't you run down some of those things that you can do at DEA to kind of give people an idea of what their career would be like?
Okay. Well, on the special agent side of the house, you have once you've done 4 to 5 years in DEA, you can start to specialize, and that specialization can look like we have agents who become pilots, who become polygraphers. Are they the ones that administer our polygraph exams? You could become a recruiter. you
Yeah.
could you could go into training, where you go to the academy and teach at the academy. You can be a firearms instructor. I mean, there's a gamut of things that you can specialize in. You can go into tech, which you're responsible for doing all our covert stuff. You can go into our specialized tactical diversion squads, which those are our branches of our diversion investigation, our diversion unit, which the diversion team, those investigators, they're not gun toters. They're responsible for the regulations of anybody basically with a DEA registrant number. That means a pharmaceutical company, doctor's offices, nurses, anybody that can write a prescription or has oversight over the production of controlled scheduled drugs. They regulate those. So they do like the audits and all of those of the individuals for that. And our TDS squad comes alongside of them, and they do like the enforcement branch. If they have to go into a doctor's office and do a search warrant or something, they support them in those efforts with that. So it's a lot of things that you can specialize in and get credit. We have our own EMTs. We have our own Clan Lab people that are certified in doing Clan Lab stuff. So yeah, you can walk away from DEA with a lot of certifications and trainings.
Let's clarify. Let's clarify what a Clan Lab is. Clandestine, right?
A clandestine lab, like
yes.
when meth, which is still there, but the meth has transitioned to more production in Mexico now versus when it was in local to when we had all these meth labs that was happening in the U.S., which actually Kansas was the biggest meth lab producer back in the day, but now it's coming from Mexico. Yeah, they had a bunch of labs out here. But so we would have our Clan Lab unit come in to basically process the scene, because you have chemicals, they'd come in and with the hazmat gear on and stuff and go in and basically process the scene and clean up the chemicals and stuff and process it for evidence. So that was our Clan Lab group. And there were those people that have special training to do that type of decontamination of a scene or a location.
Yeah. You guys have dogs?
We do not. And because the DEA says we don't have dogs that are assigned to DEA agents, because DEA agents are so mobile, and you can't take your dog with you. So usually when we have canines that are working with us, it's usually from a task force officer. A task force officer is a local police officer who comes in and works in a DEA group with us alongside of us, and they come with their canine dogs. That's usually how we have access to dogs. but DEA agents themselves, we do not have a K-9 unit.
Right,
No.
right. And there's a special operations or like a SWAT team component as well.
Yes, our SRT teams, which are they are the equivalent of our SWAT. Basically, if we have an arrest that we know as a target as extremely violent, they'll go in and they'll execute the search warrant for us so that the agents don't, because they have specialized training above and beyond what a normal agent would get for situations. So
Now, are they national, or is that each field office has a team?
each field division has their own SRT teams.
Excellent, excellent. All right, all right.
Yeah.
See, we get all this information out here for anybody that wants to be
Oh, and
a
I
DEA agent.
special tactical response team. I was saying an acronym. I have to be careful when you're saying acronyms and people don't know. Special
Yes,
tactical response teams. So,
got
yeah.
it, got it.
So,
Yep, yep, yeah, yep. The feds and the acronyms. So
yes.
got to stay on top of
We
that.
don't have as many as the military though, but
No, definitely not as many as the military. Do you guys do any operations with the military?
foreign we do. We have interaction a lot foreign, not
Right.
so much domestically.
Well, because they're not able to
But
operate domestically. The military's not. Yeah.
yeah, so we
Yeah.
have foreign, yes, not so much. Yeah.
All right. All right. So, what's kind of a rewarding part of your job as an assistant special agent in charge, not necessarily just as a special agent, but as an ASAC?
Well, for me, what's been rewarding is when I go out to a school and I see little girls and little boys that look like me, and I tell them what I do, and they're like, "What?" And they get excited about it, letting them know that they can do anything they put their mind to. There is no limits to what they can do and achieve. So
Yeah. Yeah. And
that
on the
that
flip
gives
side of
that gives
that,
me joy. When I was an agent, it gave me joy every time I took drugs off the street.
yes.
Um, and that still gives me pleasure, but I don't necessarily, I'm not the one that's taking out, I'm equipping the people to go out and take it off the street. When I say equipping agents, equipping our, to make sure that they have the gear, the resources, the financing, the partnerships they need to be able to do their investigations. So that's what's the administrative
Excellent.
part of my job.
Yeah.
That brings,
Excellent.
yeah.
Excellent. Yep. You don't go out into the field as much anymore.
No, and I so miss it. Yeah. So yeah,
Well, you're
I
almost
don't
at
get
the
the
end
joy of
there.
going out. I don't get the joy of going. I live vicariously through my supervisors, who they live through their agents and their people that they're responsible for. So
Yeah.
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 But I try to connect with them. I'm like, tell me some stories. What's going on?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like,
Kind of.
boss. I was like, yeah, I want to know what's going on. Tell me,
Yeah,
sit
kind of
down,
like
tell me.
our commanders and all that, our admin, that
Mhm.
yeah. Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. So on the flip side of that, what's kind of the more challenging part of your job? I'm sure it would be that you don't get to get out every now and then, but what's the more challenging part of your job as an ASAC?
Um, I would say that challenging again, transitioning from being in the field agent to the administrative, having the administrative responsibilities is kind of a challenge, especially when you're used to running and gunning. But for me, sometimes it can be a challenge just bringing the right people to the table to do collaborative efforts within our law enforcement, within the law enforcement community. Uh, yeah, just gaining the trust can be a challenge sometimes of our local law enforcement, because based on what area you are, there have been situations where maybe a previous DEA agent came in and stole someone's case. And I tell them, no, we're not about doing that. I'm about how can we work together to put drug traffickers in jail. I'm not about
Yes.
taking your case. I'm saying how can we come alongside and help, with this person that's this major violent offender that's in your community. How can we help? I don't care if
Yeah.
they get arrested state or federal. I just want them in jail. So, but that's sometimes a challenge, just developing the confidence of your counterparts, the
All
trust.
right. All right.
Yeah.
Yes. Loved it. Love it. Love it. All right, ASAC Patterson-King, I appreciate you coming on to the show and and giving us
Thank you so much
really,
for having
really
me.
good information about the DEA. That's really for anybody that's interested in applying. I'm
I
sure
also
that yeah.
before
Yeah, go
you
ahead.
let me go, though, I also want to let people know that there are also other positions within DEA. The agents is not the only thing. We also have our intelligence research specialists, which they're responsible for connecting the dots. I call them like the paralegals to the lawyers. They're the ones that do all the research. They're looking at the high level and bringing it back down, connecting the dots to drug trafficking organizations so that we're able to do conspiracy investigations. We have our diversion investigators who I spoke of earlier. We have chemists, we have lawyers, we have statisticians, we have everything you could imagine within DEA we have. So I know people always think of the agents, but there are other opportunities for advancement in DEA in our administrative side of the house, as well as version and intel components. So
Yes, and they're just as important as the agent.
yes, they are. Yes.
Absolutely. All right. All right. You thought I was going to let you go, but as I mentioned
Oh,
before we came on, that you are not done yet. I got a little game for you, so let's get this started here. This is
black or blue, 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 black or blue.
all right. So this is my game today, and black or blue game. And your category today is, look, Ma, I'm on TV. I am going to. I am going to give you a name of a person, and you just tell me. And you got three choices here. These are TV characters. Are they either black, say like just a black character on TV? Are they blue?
Okay.
Are they a law enforcement character on TV who's not black? Or are they black and
Okay.
blue, like you or I? They're on TV and they're a black cop on TV. So you got black, blue, or black and blue.
God.
Yeah, so
Okay.
you'll get the hang of it. You'll get the hang of it. All right. So
I hope you're gonna give me a picture. No, no,
Well,
no pictures. That'll be
maybe
cheating.
not. Maybe not. Here's your first one here. Character number one, Thelma Evans. Thelma Evans.
She is black.
Yes. Oh, wrong one there. Yes, she is black. You remember Thelma from Good Times?
Yes, from Good Times.
Oh yeah. All right, first one there, off to a great start. How about Olivia Benson?
She would be blue.
She would be blue. Yes. Everyone knows
Law and
Olivia
Order.
Benson from Law and Order SVU.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, 2 for 2. All right. Let's see if we can trip
It's one
you
of
up
my
here.
favorite shows.
Oh, okay. All right. How about Stacey Sheridan?
Stacey Sheridan. I don't know who that is.
Just throw something at the wall. Take a guess.
I'll go black and blue since I haven't said that yet.
Unfortunately, no. She
Oh.
is. You remember TJ Hooker?
TJ Hooker.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. That was Heather Locklear.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh
All right,
man.
we got one on you. How about your next one here? How about Judy Hoffs? I'm sure you remember this show. You may not remember the name, but you remember the show, Judy Hoffs. I'll give you a hint. She is currently. What was that?
She's currently.
She's currently married to a former football player. The actress. Great
Black and
80s. Black and blue, yes. Yes. Remember from 21 Jump Street?
21. Uh-huh.
Yep. She is married to he's out here now. Now you stumped me now. But he's a football player. Went to USC. All right, your next one here. You're still doing pretty good here. How about Anita Van Buren?
I know that name.
You do know this name. You do know
Oh,
this
she's
name.
black and blue.
She is black and blue, yes.
Yes, Law and Order.
Yes.
I was like, I know that name.
Yep, Lieutenant Van Buren from Law and Order. Still doing it pretty good here. How about Olivia Pope?
She's a lawyer from Scandal. That's
Yes,
black.
she is black, yes. All right.
No, she
how
wasn't a
about
lawyer. She was like, I don't know what her role was.
right. She was the cleaner.
She was
I
a cleaner
guess,
upper.
How about Vanessa Tompkins? Vanessa Tompkins.
Vanessa Nessa Tompkins. I'm gonna take a
How
guess
about on
on
the
that one. Like,
How about on the show Nessa? Nessa on the show. Take a stab at it.
Nessa. White?
What was that? Black, blue, or
White?
black and blue? Black?
Blue.
That is incorrect. Oh.
Ah!
Remember Nessa from the Bernie Mac show?
I didn't watch that show. Sorry.
Oh, you didn't? Oh.
No.
You were probably in Barbados.
I like
at
Bernie
the time,
Mac, but
so.
I never watched about him. Yeah, I was in Barbados. Yeah.
All right. How about Mary Jane Paul?
Oh, that's black.
Yes. Played by Gabrielle Union.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't know if you've started to notice a trend here that these are all females.
Mm-hmm.
All right. How about Christine Cagney? Christine Cagney.
Oh, she's white.
Yes, so she
Oh,
is
blue.
blue.
That would be blue.
She is blue. Yeah. She is strictly blue from the show Cagney and Lacey. Yep.
That's one of the shows I grew up on. That's why I wanted to be a cop. Okay.
Oh, really?
Lacey, I used to.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah. That's
between them and Charlie's Angels, I'm like, yes.
All right, a few more here for you. How about Nova Bordeleon? Nova Bordeleon. Or Bordeleon. Just got throw something out there.
You got a clue?
I think
Blue.
Blue? Oh, that would be incorrect.
Oh man!
From the show Queen Sugar. You ever watch Queen Sugar?
No, I've never watched that.
Yeah. That's one of the shows I haven't watched either. But yeah, she is not a cop. A couple more here for you. How about Athena Grant? Athena Grant. Current show, currently on TV today.
That's black and blue.
She is black and blue, yes.
Yes, 911. Yes.
Yep.
I just watched that yesterday. I was like, that name sounds familiar.
Yeah, that name sounds familiar. There you go. And how about Mary Beth Lacey?
Mary Beth Lacey. Oh, that's blue.
Yeah. That's the other half of Cagney and Lacey.
Yep.
And how about your last one here? That would be Lydia Adams.
Lydia Adams. I know that name, but that's blue.
Almost. I'll give it to you.
Blue and black.
Black and black.
Black and black.
From that show Southland, Rogeana King. Yes.
Yeah.
That was a great show before they canceled.
That's my namesake. My namesake.
Yes, Rogeana King. Yep, exactly. So you did get more right than you got wrong. So we are going to call you the winner. Everybody hands go up. But up there, where's there we go. All right. Congratulations there. Great sport. Thank there. You knew most of them though. A couple of them tripped you up, but you knew most of them. Yeah. There are things you got to do when you're
it comes to cop
abroad.
shows.
Yeah.
Huh?
That's funny because that's one of the things I probably try to avoid unless it's a really, really good critically acclaimed show. Otherwise, I stay away because just like doctors don't watch medicine shows because we look at all the stuff that they do like that doesn't really happen. They don't do it like that,
Well, I watch a bunch of cop shows. I like them. And my husband, I get on his nerve. He's like, I'm always saying, oh, they didn't get training. They don't do that right. Take your finger off the trigger. Yes. They're not entering right.
Yeah.
They didn't get any consultation.
Yeah.
So I'm critiquing
It's funny when you watch a lot of the old 80s, maybe even the 90s shows, they walk around like this. No.
Yes.
No.
Yes, don't do that.
Flagging their partners, the muzzle and all that stuff. Yeah. All right. How about a few words of wisdom before I let you out of here for my guest?
I would just say, dream big. Don't put any limits on yourself. You can do and be whatever you want to be and do.
Great words to live by. All right, I appreciate you for coming on and giving us a lot of great information. I didn't ask you, how are you enjoying Kansas City?
I actually love Kansas. It's a hidden gem. I didn't know
Is it?
anything about it before coming here, but it's an excellent. I mean, the people are super super friendly. I don't even think they know how friendly they are. I thought Texas people were friendly, but here it's like you go into a convenience store before you go and leave out, you've made a friend. If it's not
Nice,
the only
nice.
the person behind the counter, but it's like super, and the cost of living's good. It's
Yeah.
not, it's just a great area.
Yeah. All right. Well, um, sounds like you're gonna ride it out into the sunset from Kansas.
Yes, yes,
All
I
right.
will be.
Couple more years. Is that it?
Um, Actually, I'm done at the end of this year.
Wow.
Yeah,
Congratulations to you.
thank you, thank
What's
you.
the plan afterwards?
I need to rest for about a month and then decide. Rest for about a month and then decide.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Well,
I I
congratulations
I,
to
I
you.
believe I want to be doing some stuff in the community, but I just don't know what yet. So I know I don't want a 9 to 5.
No, no, no. I'll be right behind you here. I was trying to stick it out for another couple years, but I may just pull the plug earlier
Mhm.
than that. But yeah, yeah, definitely not a 9 to 5. That's for sure.
Yes, no.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for coming on again, Regina, and
Well,
you be
thank you
safe
so
out
much,
there. And
Dale.
yes, yes, love the conversation.
Okay, thank you.
You got it. Okay. Now that, ladies and gentlemen, was a great interview. Thank you, Special Agent Patterson-King, for giving the Black and Blue fam some insight into the DEA and what it takes to be a part of that distinguished organization. If y'all enjoyed that conversation just like I did, click that like button on my YouTube channel or rate it 5 stars wherever you listen to me on right now. I'll be back before you know with another great conversation with another minority in U.S. law enforcement. But till then, y'all know the phrase that pays. Stay black in blue. I'll holler at you. Deuces.
This has been a Maitre D Entertainment presentation.